All righty, everybody. It is 1 o'clock here on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. My name is Harold Dippman. I will be going through the winter weather webinar briefing here for the NWS Gaylord footprint. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. As always, if you have questions, you can either type them out in the chat or just let me know, and I will answer them as soon as I can. Start today's webinar off with just a recap of some recent trends here. As you can see, excuse me, the average temperature, we've been relatively cold. We did have a couple of pretty warm days last week, where Traverse City was in the low 50s, a lot of mid 40s across much of northern lower Michigan, and some mid to upper 30s across eastern upper Michigan. But overall, the theme was pretty chilly. As you can see with the accumulated snowfall, the lake effect belts are the ones who continue to cash in, lesser amounts to the south and east towards Saginaw Bay, which that has seems to have been the general theme throughout much of the winter. And as a matter of fact, the drought monitor has been really popping off in a lot of those spots that really haven't been cashing in on that lake effect snow. So that's definitely something to look at. And here you can see the average temperature difference from average. You can see a lot of the core of the warmth that occurred last week was confined to Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, as much as 15 to 18 degrees above normal, which is very impressive nonetheless. In terms of percent of normal precipitation from last week, you can see again those lake effect areas were the ones that really cashed in across northern, lower, and eastern upper Michigan. But here you see the hole in the precipitation accumulation that, generally speaking, is along and south of M72. Now, it should be noted that a lot of this data was taken just before yesterday's snowfall that did occur across much of northern lower Michigan. We had several reports of up to 8 inches of snowfall, and that went all the way from Grand Traverse, Leelanau-Benzie counties, eastward through Oscoda and Montmorency counties, even into Alcona County as well. So some places that really hadn't cashed in on a lot of snowfall this year managed to snag a pretty good snowfall yesterday, and it was that wet, dense, it had some weight to it snow. And as you can see, the snowfall resolution there, I mean, there's a little bit above normal there in northeast lower as well, with that below normal snowfall signature really popping up. And even, less than 5% of normal, it just did not snow once you get far enough south into Michigan and Wisconsin and that. So moving closer to home here, what are our snowfall and our snow depth current statistics? As you can see, the daily snowfall from yesterday, there we see some of those spots that really haven't cashed in a whole lot this year. We got Houghton Lake at 5.4 yesterday, Alpena at 3.9. Here at the office in Gaylord, we had 5.4. Traverse City had 6.3. But as you can see, the areas that are running well above normal and have the really good snow depth are in those lake effect areas. Looking at that map over there, as you can see, in the NWS Gaylord footprint of the deepest snow for our analyzed snow depth is up by Paradise and Tequamanon Falls. And then in northern lower, there's that bullseye of Antrim, Kalkaska, Northwest Crawford, and much of Otsego County. But you can see that there's also a pretty stellar snow depth that goes along all of that lake effect zone, south and west of the Grand Traverse Bay area into Wexford and Manistee counties as well. And then you can see that increase in snow depth from yesterday's snow that does manage to go almost all the way to Lake Huron now. So it seems as though a lot of people are getting into the snow party here. The only area with exception would probably be closer to Saginaw Bay and Gladwin and Aranac counties, where they didn't quite cash in on the snow yesterday, had a little bit of rain mixing in at times, and that really cut into their snowfall. But in terms of our climate sites that we are recording snowfall for, the ones that are the only sites that are below normal as of this morning are Alpena and West Branch. Everywhere else is above normal to, in some cases, significantly above normal. Sault Ste. Marie has already seen 140.2 inches of snow. Their average snowfall for an entire season is 120.1 inches. So, you know, the entire season's, a normal season's worth of snowfall and then some has already been observed in Sault Ste. Marie. And then you look at Gaylord with 147.6 inches of snow, which is 150% of normal by this date. And you're seeing that, we're almost to our normal snowfall for an entire season. And that also goes for Traverse City as well, with 100.3 inches of snow, and their seasonal average is about 101 inches. So definitely still the theme of lake effect areas cashing in, holding strong despite yesterday's snowfall. So looking ahead, what are we looking at here in the next 7 days? So there is a little bit of potential, a little bit of a narrative change from that lake effect rich pattern. We are looking at, the colder air is still going to be in place. We're going to be looking at, chilly wind chills throughout much of the period. Tonight we're going to see wind chills pretty cold again, and then we'll have that warm up as we are expecting another system to pass through Wednesday night into Thursday. But on the heels of that, we are expecting more cold air to move in, and there is potential for yet another system to pass through on Saturday and Sunday. And the big difference between what we have seen a lot of this winter and what is probably going to be expected over the next 7 days is that these might be more widespread wintry events. It's not just going to be confined to, the Northwest, Lower Michigan, and Eastern Upper Michigan snow belts. There might be a pretty widespread footprint with a lot of this stuff as well. So the big thing is that we are expecting a weaker system to bring mainly light snow to the area later Wednesday night into Thursday, although there is some potential for some freezing drizzle to mix in as well. In particular, that would probably favor areas along and south of M72 at the farthest north. It's more likely M55 and south. And then again, we got that next system that's going to be arriving later Saturday into early Sunday. And this one looks to have more widespread snow accumulation than the system this Thursday. And it does look to be windier, so it could be a little bit more impactful than this little midweek system that we are expecting. As far as temperatures go, there you can see there's that warm up with that system passing through on Thursday. You can see temperatures balloon up into the lower 30s. But look at all around that. You see a lot of teens and single digits, even getting close to zero in a lot of places. And that looks to have some holding time to it as well. It's not just going to be tonight it gets cold and Thursday it warms up. I mean, you look into the future, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. I mean, it just looks like it's going to be cold. And colder than normal temperatures are favored over the course of the next week. And that's going to be another thing to, really look at over the course of the next week. So here's what we're looking at for the system for Wednesday night and Thursday. We are looking at low chances for a wintry mix to our south, and the better snow chances are going to be to the north. So we are looking at, this is our probabilistic snowfall map of 2 inches or more of snow. And you can see there's not the highest probabilities across northern lower, but you get along that M32 corridor in north. That's where it's looking like the best snow for northern lower will be. And it also looks like this will be more of a eastern upper system as well. The probabilities for that 2 inches of snow does increase quite considerably once you cross the bridge. And even once you get up closer to Sault Ste. Marie, it's looking pretty likely that they're going to see at least a couple inches of accumulating snow out of this. There could be a little bit of a bump factor with this system as it passes through, especially up toward the eastern UP. It is not entirely possible for the Sioux to see upwards of 4 inches or more of snow from this. And the thing that's going to keep snowfall totals on the lower side across northern lower is that potential for wintry mix of sleet and freezing rain Wednesday night into Thursday morning that is going to be favoring, in general, along M55 and south, but could leak up as far north as M72. And then during the day, there will be a quiet period where before things transition back to snow on the backside of the system, where there could be a little bit of freezing drizzle as well on Thursday. So very light precipitation expected with this system, but nonetheless, still wintry precipitation and potential to be impactful uh, across the board. As far as gusty winds, the windiest period over the next 7 days is probably going to be uh, Thursday into Friday. We're looking at, sustained winds may approach 20 mile an hour on the backside of this system with some gusts that, approach 35 to 40 mile an hour across the board. It looks like those strongest wind gusts are probably going to favor those areas along the immediate lake shores. Farther inland, maybe closer to 30 mile an hour wind gusts, 15 to 20 mile an hour sustained winds, but nonetheless, definitely turning a lot windier Thursday into Friday. And here's that 6 to 10 day outlook where we were talking about, there's a little bit of staying power with this colder air. And as you can see, the Climate Prediction Center is really honing in on the potential for below normal temperatures across much of the Great Lakes. And it's even the core of the colder air is pretty much all pulled up across the northern Great Plains into Montana, as well, with the above normal temperatures favoring the southeastern United States. And that might be something to key in on uh, down the road in February. If this pattern can hold where you can get those warmer temperatures just set up along the Gulf Coast and in the south and up into the Ohio Valley, and we keep on getting stuck here in the colder air, that could certainly have some impacts on the storm track in the longer term later into February. But nonetheless, at this time, once we do get through this weekend system, it does look like we will have a little bit of a quieter period. Climate Prediction Center is highlighting better chances for below normal precipitation, next week in the 6 to 10 day outlook as well. So looking at the longer range hazard potentials, you can see the Climate Prediction Center really honing in on that colder air intrusion that is going to be taking place in the plains. You can see the higher risk of that extreme cold really being highlighted across Montana and North Dakota. But you can see the risk factor from that leaks all the way into upper Michigan there, almost into our footprint. So there's definitely some signals that there's going to be some cold, but maybe not accompanied by as much snow as one would think. There's not really many signals that pop off once we get into the longer range at this time through the 17th of February by the Climate Prediction Center. You can see there's one area that goes up the mid-Mississippi into the Ohio valleys, up into the mid-Atlantic, and up into New England. But realistically, once it does get cold, you're always prone to have some sort of, potential for snow. So this is definitely subject to change, but those are the current running thoughts at this juncture. As far as water temperatures go in the Great Lakes, we are actually still running above normal for our water temperatures on the Great Lakes. You can see based off of those pinkish lines there, that's our current temperatures, and the black solid line, those are the long-term average temperatures over 30 years from 1995 to last year. You can see we're still a little bit above that. We are nowhere near the record territory that we were in October, November, and December when we were getting those gangbusters lake effect events. And we are starting to see a little bit of ice coverage build up across the straits and into Whitefish Bay and into Saginaw Bay, up toward Thunder Bay as well. And that could have some impacts on how widespread lake effect snow will be in the coming weeks and even months. And there you can see that. There's our ice graphic. But one thing of note, last week we had ice percentage that was above 25% in a lot across the entirety of the Great Lakes. We did have a windier period earlier this week and that warm up, and it actually dropped the ice coverage across the Great Lakes as a whole. And you can see that on those charts on the right, the black solid line, that's your ice cover. And look how it drops here. And on the same thing with Lake Superior, it kind of trends upward and then it drops. And that was a result of those windier periods along with that warm up that we had that kind of ate into the ice cover a little bit. Although we are looking at those colder temperatures returning, so the expectation is a lot of that ice cover will probably, be replenished here in the coming weeks. So our key messages over the next 7 days, you're going to have cold wind chill values near zero at times, likely late tonight into early Wednesday, and then again in the wake of the system Thursday night into Friday, and again on Monday. The weak system is our first item of business here, late Wednesday night into Thursday. And accumulations do look minor at this time, although there is potential for a brief period of freezing drizzle, and that is mainly northern lower along and south of M72 is where your best chances of that are. You're going to have gusty winds with the Thursday system lingering into Friday, and then we are watching that aforementioned later Saturday into early Sunday system, and this will have more widespread snow accumulation and will be accompanied by gusty winds. And here's some resources for additional information from the National Weather Service and NWS Gaylord as a whole. And that's going to do it for me today. If you have any questions, I'll remain on the line here for a little bit. If not, thank you for attending, and I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thank you much.